Thank you and welcome. It has been so great, and we acknowledge your presence right here in this channel. Our prayer has been that as you have been supporting us, may God Almighty continue to bless you. Peter Obi begins door-to-door market campaign. Obidiati movement has it tells that Chief Joe Martins Uzodike, Coordinator Peter Obi and Yusuf Diati Presidential Campaign Council in Anambra on Sunday called on all the support groups to begin door-to-door and market campaign for Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. Meanwhile, Uzodike made the call when he received members of Associates of Peter Obi, a political pressure group in his Awka Ekiti country home, Idomili South local government area of Anambra State on Sunday. Peter Obi, associate of Peter Obi, is the umbrella of members of different political parties rooting for Peter Obi and Yusuf Diati as next president and vice president of Nigeria in 2023. Onto this, Uzodike, former commissioner for information in Anambra and long-standing political associate of Mr. Obi, said the council adopted door-to-door and market campaign strategy for effective result. He said it was through interperson communication that majority of Nigerians would understand the good plans of the presidential candidate of Labour Party. Uzodike said, so far, Obidiati project looks divine due to the large support it is getting across the country, Nigeria. Alright, Peter Obi's growing popularity is not because he takes or talks better or behaves better than others, but because God is at the center of the project and directing every other thing according to his will. Uzodike also added, saying, who commended the commitment made by Nigerians, both home and in the diaspora, in the promoting the activities of Obi's presidential bid, said, Peter Obi will unite and face the country if elected as president come 2023, just as it draws near. I know the passion of Peter Obi on the challenges faced by our nation. I am privileged to have joined him in most of his consultations with who is who in this country, and by the grace of God, if elected, things, he said, will change from better. Alright, he also assured members of Associate of Peter Obi and other people backing Peter Obi that nobody who backed the project would labor in vain. Dr. Vera Okochukwu, a member of Associate of Peter Obi's campaign team, Demeli South local government area, all in Anambra State, said the group has people of like minds from various political parties who believed in the vision of Obidiati project. She also noted that the era when Nigerians must work strictly on the dictate of political parties they belong was over. Members of Associate of Obidiati movement also share the view that old political order that members of the political parties should behave like court groups is over. He also said that the country is sinking today because of this old political culture. That is why, he said, we decided to come up with this initiative to let Nigerians understand that they must not be forced into voting a bad person because he is or she is a member of their party. Alright, she also further said, Mr. Ebele Amefele, coordinator of Associate of Obidiati Movement in Anambra, Idemili South to be precise, local government area, all in Anambra State, said the group visited to congratulate Uzodike on his appointment as the coordinator of Obidiati Presidential Campaign Council. He said the group exists across Anambra and other states as a volunteer arm for the support of Mr. Obi's presidential project. My wonderful people, we know that election is a capital-intensive venture the world over. Some of us believe that we can pool our resources and support Mr. Peter Obi, whose pronouncement so far shown hope for the ordinary Nigerians. And a lot of reactions here, people are saying, in a minute to be precise, that Peter Obi is our man. Based on what we have gathered in line with Punch and Vanguard, Obi Dati begins door-to-door market campaign. This is just to conscientize and to sensitize people, telling people about Peter Obi and his mission. And that has been the matter we will discuss since, and I would like to have more of your takes. Meanwhile, just as the matter they go, so Peter Obi visit IDPs as Mache tax federal government world leader on climate change. The presidential and the president general PG of Umurie community in Anambra State, Johnny Chukwudi Mache, has tasked world leaders to fulfill their obligations and pledge on climate and environment to save humanity from further disaster and devastations caused by natural disasters like flood, erosion, and desertification, among many others. Mache made the call on Saturday in Umurie when he received the presidential candidate of Labour Party, of course, Peter Obi, who paid a visit to the victims of the flood at the Umurie Unity Hall, where the internally displaced persons known as the IDPs are compared to gather. Obi, who arrived in Umurie in the company of some Labour Party chieftains, took a boat ride with Chief Mache to see things for themselves in some part of the affected communities. Meanwhile, the corresponding Chief Mache, who is also the African director of the International Association of World Peace Advocates, thanked Peter Obi for the visit, saying the presidential candidate came at the very right time when the IDPs needed both moral and material support from leaders and other well-meaning citizens and organizations. Mache also called on the federal government to rise to the challenges posed by the release of water from dams from the Cameroonian authorities into Nigeria territorial waters, which he said was one of the major causes of massive flooding in parts of Nigeria every year. He stated that Nigeria cannot, continue to keep quiet and do things or nothing, as thousands of citizens of the country Nigeria are being killed every year, while properties worth billions of naira are destroyed by flooding caused by the release of water from Cameroon. He said as he was reading bait, I want to thank the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi, who is an illustrious son of Anambra State, for coming to give support to our people who are victims of this year's flooding. I also, he continued to say, want to use this opportunity to call on world leaders, presidents, other heads of government, international agencies like the United Nations, the World Health Organization, and others to fulfill their obligations on climate change. This, he said, is because humanity is on the brink of total destruction if we continue our hostility to the environment, which is reason flooding and other natural disasters are on the increase. In the case of Nigeria, he said, I call on the President, the National Assembly, governors, and other leaders to convene a summit on how to tackle the challenge posed by Cameroon, which every year release water from dam into Nigerian territory. Nigeria, he said, must not continue to keep quiet or to keep mute and do nothing over this external aggression from our neighboring country. My wonderful people, as part of Kantamoris, Nigeria should construct dams within the communities bordering Cameroon, like Adamawa, Taraba, Akwa Ibom, Cross River, and others, to channel the water from Cameroon dams to other areas and save Nigeria from this perennial disaster and this devastation. My wonderful people, that has been onto this matter. As a lot of reactions, people are really saying, well, Peter Obi has been in several places visiting the IDPs, and that is a way forward. It's a very good step in a very right direction. Well, let me have your take right in the comment section. My wonderful people, thank you for being with us. Remember to subscribe for more updates. Thanks and God bless.